What is up, guys? Bear Market Miner here. So I've got a banger video for you today. If you're crypto mining in 2024 and you're trying to figure out what card you should buy or what coin you should mine, then you gotta watch this video. I've compiled a complete list of the top 25 most profitable graphics cards on the top 10 most profitable coins and compared a ton of different metrics so you can make a more informed decision on which card to scoop next or what coin to put your hash power to. I've also made the spreadsheet downloadable so you can enter your own numbers and draw your own conclusions and tweak away to your heart's content. Let's get into it. So first off, let's start with which GPUs I've selected and why. As this spreadsheet is a comparison metric across multiple algorithms and not solely a which is the most profitable GPU spreadsheet, which you can get everywhere basically, I've selected the cards that consistently appeared time and time again at the top of the list when it came to a few different metrics: profitability, efficiency, dollar per hash, and the payback period. I've also considered the ability to resell the cards if necessary. Knowing this, it would be pointless and unnecessary to include a lot of the older generations like the 10 and 20 series, for example, that either aren't profitable and don't hold much resale value, either for miners or gamers. However, I did sneak a few in because science, which this leaves us with only the best options in my opinion when it comes to GPU mining. And if I've left your favorite cards out, I'm sorry. So to begin with, I've included all of the 40 series cards as these are the most current, most powerful, profitable, efficient. They do well across the board, as you'll see in a moment. Also, most of the 30 series cards, same reasons again, do really well in a broad range of metrics, which we're going to get into a bit later. I've excluded things like the 3050s, a lot of the TIs, because they're not often as good when comparing a bunch of metrics to the non-TIs. I've also added a reasonable number of the AMD XT range, starting at the bottom, going up to the top, just so we can see if they stand a chance next to NVIDIA or if they need to, stick in their lane and stay on core power only. I've also included the trusty 1660 Supers and TIs, mostly because I like them. And also because they're making more than any of my other rigs, 3070 rigs, mixed rigs with 4070s in them, sitting on solo mining. So I wanted to see if they could win out in any other categories or if they just need to, stick to that solo Radiant. So let's have a look at this spreadsheet. First thing we'll go through is the pricing you can see here on the left. So because we're comparing brand new cards with secondhand cards, some of the 4090s, you can't really find many of them secondhand anywhere, and the prices are pretty much exactly the same as brand new anyway. So for that reason, with our secondhand cards down here, you see eBay pre-owned, top rated seller plus. These aren't the cheapest pre-owned cards you can buy. So a top rated seller plus on eBay is someone who does a huge volume with like a 99.9% review rating. So they're quality cards. This isn't from little Timmy down the road or someone on, Marketplace who's going to sell you a 3090 for 400 bucks and promises that it will work. So I figured this was the best way to keep our pricing somewhat fair. Look, some of these older cards, the prices are just that ridiculously low anyway. So we're not going to look at buying a 1660 Super new and spending like, say 250 USD on it or something like that, because it just wouldn't stand a chance. I'd be surprised if anyone would do that. So for reference, with my profits and revenue, I've grabbed these numbers over the last couple of days, but we have had some pretty big price appreciation on a lot of these coins. So some of these numbers will be up 10%, but they will be consistent across the board in that 10%, generally within that range. And as we said, we're not trying to just look at the exact revenue or profit number. We're more trying to compare these profits with the other cards and on the other algorithms. So that may change a little bit from what your numbers you might get. Also hash rates. Look, we've picked efficient hash rates. You can get higher hash rates here or there. You can get lower, but I've picked a pretty consistent mid-range hash rate on all of these different cards on all the different algorithms, once again, to keep things consistent. As we can see across the top here, we have the coin and we have a bunch of different metrics. So we have the dollar per hash rate, which is the amount of hash, whether that be gigahash, megahash, or hashes per dollar spent. All those numbers added up there. We also have the revenue, the profit. We've compared efficiency numbers and also the payback period. So these are a bunch of different metrics that we can compare a few different coins on. As you can see, we scroll across, we've got 10 of them in total. And at the end, we have an overall weighted score. So this is where things get really interesting. This is why I really do like this spreadsheet. And you guys will be able to adjust these numbers as well. So if we scroll down here, we have metric weightings. So let's close all of these tabs. So we have our 10 coins hidden in there. So let's say hypothetically, our focus is dollar per hash rate and profit. Currently, we've got them set at 20%. What you would do here is you'd come down 50%, 0. In fact, let's go payback period, hey? So we're now focusing across all these cards, across all these algorithms. We want to know what's going to give me the best hash rate and the best payback period. We can come across the top. We click largest to smallest, and that's going to tell us, for instance, the 3060 Ti, the 4060 Ti, and the 3080 10 gigabyte are reigning on top across these 10 algorithms compared with these cards across those 4-5 different metrics. So that's what's really interesting about this. You can enter your own numbers in here wherever you like, adjust things with different hash rates, different profits, and then you can compare those there. So for the moment, we'll keep them all at 20%. Another cool feature about this is we can go to coin weightings. So say you knew you wanted to buy a 3070, so you're looking at the 3070 up here. Let's reset this, smallest to largest, bang. You say, okay, I want the best bang for buck across all of these, but I want to mine Alephium and I want to mine Pyrin. So we leave all of those at 50%. We come across the top. I think it's already done it, but we go largest to smallest again, and we can see the 4090 reigns supreme, the 40 series pretty much on top when it comes to those two algorithms. But if then we wanted to know the best dollar per hash and the fastest payback period again, come up the top here, we click largest to smallest, and we see the 4060 Ti. See, this is where things change. And you can really get a good grasp of what your strategy is and compare a bunch of different metrics here. So first up, looking at Alephium, we can see that the 3080 10 gigabyte, that's a pre-owned, has the best dollar per hash score. And then the 4090 takes the cake for revenue, profit, efficiency. Looks like the overall as well, but who do we have? The 4060 Ti, best payback score. Now you'll see the 4060 Ti feature pretty heavily throughout here. It's a pretty solid car. I'm sure a few people know that, but for those who didn't know, a brand new 4060 Ti for the price, looking really good at this point. Next up, we have Dynex. Now, a lot of people were mining this. Some people still are, some people aren't, but it is still a really good option as far as profitability is concerned. We can see the mighty 6060 Super on top, closely followed by the 3060 Ti. So the second-hand range market here, with the 40 series just doing dismally on Dynex, unfortunately. A little standout here for the AMD. AMD looks decent on the lower end range. And the 5700 XT does well here, but not anywhere else really, as you'll see. For revenue, as you'd expect, 4080 Super, 4090s, 3090 does well as well. Profit, same again, generally similar to the revenue. Because these 40 series cards are all very efficient, or mostly very efficient, they do well in the profit as well. Efficiency, what's that? 4070 Ti takes the cake there. The payback score, 3060 Ti, coming up trumps. I was actually surprised how well the 3060 Ti does. Still just a really solid card, great for resale. So I think it's not a bad buy, but we'll have a look as we get further to see what we end up with. And what's the overall here? 4080 Super. closely followed by the 3060 Ti. What's that? Only a couple of percentiles difference. 4070 Ti is doing well. And if you're looking at mining Dynex, don't get an AMD, as the numbers would state. Moving along onto Pyrin. Really profitable. As I said, these numbers are going to be up across the board with that recent pump. So let's have a look. Dollar per hash. What do we got? The 3080. 3080 doing really well. 3070. 3060 Ti up there again. It's hard to compare. Look, older generation and newer generation. Obviously, give it a year or two, these 40 series will be much cheaper. But this is, we're trying to figure out right now. So dollar per hash, not doing great. Still better than poor old AMD and my lowly little 1660 Super down there. Revenue score 4090. Not surprising. Let's put this back up the right way. Yeah, 4090 for revenue, profit. Efficiency is still dominated by the 40 series. Although, you know, 65%, not too bad. Surprisingly, some pretty nice AMD 6950 XT. These are actually looking better as far as efficiency on Pyrin than compared to the mid-range 30 series there. Overall, I think we can see all the greens up here. 4090 on top, 40 series slowly down again. 3080, all right. The weighted score, terrible. This negative number here indicates there's no profit. So fairly straightforward there. Moving along, we have AIPG. So the dollar per hash here on CloreAI, 5700 XT. I've seen a bunch of people in Discord talking about the 5700 XTs. Really good dollar per hash score. You know, they're so cheap and they are powerful. More efficient than I was expecting to see these numbers, to be honest. Are they more efficient than my 6600? No. So I've got a rigger 6600 XTs on Clore and on AIPG. So I thought they were at the top of the chart. 6800, not bad. Revenue, once again, most powerful card, 4090. Profit, once again, as it's right up there with efficiency as well. Let's just see how that goes. So AMD on top for CloreAI, but not as on top as I was expecting. Look, I don't have some of these AMD cards, but I was expecting it to be a bit of a whitewash for AMD on CloreAI, but it seems that the 40 series is doing pretty well again, and 30 series in the mix, but clearly AMD does have the top 4 spots there. I'm surprised that the 5700 XT is up. Go figure, hey? 5700 XT with the best weighted score. Are we 20% across the board? There you go, guys. Who would have thought? That's when comparing all of these metrics, of course, so take that with a grain of salt. As I said, you can tweak these as you want and make your own decisions on which direction you want to go there. So next up, we have Nexa, pun fully intended. Let's go from left to right. Hash score 3080, once again, coming up top. Revenue score, we got the 4090 on top for profit as well. 4070 Ti for efficiency. Now, I did know they were efficient cards. 4070, then 4060 Ti. See, these 4060 Ti's, they're a great buy. Overall weighted, if we glance, what have we got? The 4090 taken out of the cake by a long shot, by the looks of it. That's the efficiency score, profit score. Yeah, doing 100, 190. There you go, payback 80. That's where we get such a big weighted score here. Coming up next, we have Karlsen. Now, Karlsen's sort of gone a bit quiet. If everyone remembers, a couple of months ago, there were some really good gains to be made on Karlsen if you were mining early, but it's been sort of under the radar, but still in that top 10 most profitable coin to mine since that time, even with the lower prices. So if you've got a bag of Karlsen, I mean, I know I'm personally just holding, and hopefully we can recoup some of those prices again. 3080, killing it, as well as the 4060 Ti. Look, we're going to repeat ourselves a little bit here because it seems the good cards are just the good cards, right? I'm not repeating myself here in the middle. What have we got as far as efficiency? 4070 Ti, Payback, 4060. What about the overall weighted score? 4090 is just dominating, as we can see overall for the price point. So that's interesting. You know, look, I would have looked at the price and said, no way that's going to do better. I knew it was going to have more hash rate. Just surprised at how well it's doing efficiency numbers and across a bunch of different algorithms so far. So we'll see if that continues. Following on from Karlsen, we have Nexillia, which is a new one, which is also a Karlsen hash algorithm. So it will have the same efficiency and hash rate numbers as the others, if I'm not mistaken. Look, we got slightly out by 1 mega hash there. We will take that. Let's put this back in the right order. So AMD doing really good actually here. I didn't talk about that in the last, doing as far as, well, not really good, but there's some surprises in here. The 6950, 6800. We got the 6600 as well, doing a good dollar per hash. 3080 once again. 4060 Ti once again, same as the previous. And the 4090 is going to take out the cake on that. But if we look at the weighted score here, there's not a huge difference. So some of the AMD cards actually do a lot better than I expected. Some of them are higher end. Well, I guess it's a bit of a mix. 7900, 6950, bit of a higher, a larger, a more even spread, I should say, as opposed to a few of the other algorithms. Coming in at number 8, and by the way, these aren't in order of profitability. They're in order of what I felt like clicking and entering in 7,000 numbers for. So we should have mentioned that earlier, but I figured you guys are pretty smart people. You get the gist. So yes, Neoxa. Now I've been mining a little bit of this myself. It's a pretty cool coin. I mean, once again, it doesn't get spoken about a huge bit. There are a huge amount. Sorry, there are a few streamers who are talking about it. It's good for play to win. You can run masternodes on it. Play to win. What am I saying? Play to earn style games. So you can earn Neoxa while you play. You can acquire enough Neoxa. I think it's 1 million. Don't quote me on that. And you can run a masternode and start making more Neoxa. So right down the bottom here, 5700 XT, the dark horse. It pops up right here as the best hash per dollar score. Gee, these 1660 supers are doing woefully, losing money. Good thing we're not mining Neoxa on those. 4060 Ti, surprisingly bad here. As far as a revenue score, and then in turn the profit. Gee, some of these profit scores. Let's have a look at these. Wow. So the 4090 is just killing everything. Most of the top end 40 series, and then it's just basically a dumpster fire from down there. So I wouldn't, yeah, I'd think carefully about what cards you're mining Neoxa on, that's for sure. Let's jump to the overall weighted score, sorry, the weighted score here, not the overall. So 5700 XT and 6800 XT right at the top, outdoing the 4090 with an even spread of metrics here. And what do we got right down the bottom? Yeah, poor 1660 Super, I think we said that already. AMD doing surprisingly well. Sort of in the mid-range. Good old 3070. There it is, right in the middle of the pack, as we can see, 50%. I mean, it's actually at the higher end of the pack because this weighted score is not out of 100. It's a percentage total, which I believe is a more accurate number. So maybe consider a 6800 XT or buying a bunch of cheap 5700 XTs if you're planning on mining Neoxa. So CloreAI, another CorePow algorithm. CorePow algorithms have been doing really well in the last couple of months. That's why we've featured so many of them. Look, they are similar mega hash rates, things like that, but with the different metrics, we will get a different weighted score. So that's why I've included a bunch of different ones and not just giving you the same metrics for all CorePow algorithms. So 5700 XT, as we've seen, on top overall. So if you're great bang for buck, I think. I'm mining this on my 6600s. Where do they go? Oh, not as good as I thought. Where's the 6600 XT? Am I blind? Potentially. Right there. Red. Bang. So in the upper end, which is pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Revenue, profit, I think that's just going to the 49 regardless, but the dollar per hash score for the 40 series is absolutely woeful, so avoid those. Moving on to our last coin is Pepe Proof of Work, which also doesn't get spoken about a lot, but it's been profitable. It's a sleeper. It's been sitting up there in the top 5, top 10 for, you know, the last couple of months. So if we see the dollar per hash, what do we got? 4060 Ti again. 4080 Super, so the 4090 not doing so well, but AMD doing well here in dollar per hash. 6800 XT, 6600 ST revenue for the 17,000th time. 4090 on top, 4080 Super next. What's the overall weighted score here? Playback score. Let's do that first. Payback score, sorry. 4080 Super, 4060 Ti. Yep. AMD doing better than the 30 series, it would seem. Generally, yep. So even a lower to higher end AMD, so pretty broad range. But the overall weighting, 4080 Super on top this time. I think that's the first time it took an appearance. So if you've got a 4080 Super, might be worth looking at Pepe. So let's have a look at the overall weighted score. Firstly, with all things considered. So as we can see, the 40 series is out on top. 3060 Ti, the best of the 30 series, and the 6800 XT being the best out of the AMD when all things are considered. Unfortunately, my 1660 Supers and Ti's didn't do well, but that was to be expected across the board. Let's have a look at the hash rate per dollar. Let's go largest to smallest here. So the 3080 Ti, the best bang for buck when hash rate per dollar is considered, followed by the 3060 Ti, and a little dark horse, the 5700 XT did really well. Also 1660 Supers up there. I guess that's because of the really low price, so that is to be expected. Moving down, let's have a look at the revenue. I'm sure we'll find the more powerful cards. Yep. 4090 on top with the 1390, the best out of the 30 series, and the 7900 XT, as we would expect. Lower power cards right down the bottom here again. Now I'd imagine this would stay fairly consistent when we look at the total profit. 4090 on top again. 4080 Super, all the 40 series. 6800 XT, the best, most profitable across these as far as the AMD cards are considered. What else we got down here? 3080, not as good in the profitability area. I mean, it's not that efficient, which we will look at now. 3070 did reasonable as well, but a huge discrepancy here in this metric of profit. Let's check out efficiency. My favorite of the lot, 4070 Ti. We knew that was a great card. 4060 Ti really good as well. And the best of the bunch again, the 6800 XT. 5700 right down the bottom there, which we expected, and the 1660 Super. 1660 Ti a fair way above it, which is interesting. 3060 Ti did all right. Now let's look. I mean, when we're considering this, these are not huge spans. Obviously, the 4070 Ti is way above the 1660 Super. But this sort of mid-range is fairly consistent. So, you know, being lower down here doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means not as good. Last but not least, let's look at the payback period. So what card you're going to be able to pay off as quick as possible. Look, that is assuming that prices don't move. If you're watching this video, I'm sure that you assume that prices will go up like I do. So this payback period is just an interim score really for now. With the 4060 Ti, 16 gigabyte being up top, 3060 Ti once again taking the cake for the 30 series, and the 6600 for the AMD. And the 6800 XT doing well here again with the 5700, 1660 Super, all the usual culprits right down the bottom there. So if you're looking for a card that's going to do well now and into the future, it seems the 40 series is definitely the best across a broad range of algorithms and with a bunch of different metrics considered. AMD seem to struggle generally except for core power. But if you had to choose one, my numbers say it would either be the 6800 XT or even the 6600 XT is a big favorite of mine. The secondhand 30 series cards are still a great buy if you're not trying to spend a fortune, and you'll still get good hash per dollar, payback rate, all those things we just looked at. And just remember, you can get cheaper prices than what I've found, you know, higher hash rates or even lower, better efficiency numbers. But by picking a mid-range number in all areas, I feel like I should be fairly accurate across the board. So that will wrap up the video today, guys. Let me know if you're looking to buy or mine anything down below. And if this spreadsheet and video has helped you, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.